Good morning and welcome to Our Issues Milwaukee. I'm your host, Andrea Williams. February is Black History Month, and today it is a pleasure to not only honor Black history makers who have made a difference right here in the area where we live, but also share their stories that are sure to inspire and motivate you today. My first guest is a trailblazer in the world of politics, Democratic Congresswoman Gwen Moore. She was elected to represent Wisconsin's 4th Congressional District back in 2004, making her the first African-American in Wisconsin to serve in the U.S. House of Representatives. It was back in 1992 when she was elected to the Wisconsin State Senate, where she served the 4th District for over 10 years. Congresswoman Moore was also the first African-American woman elected to the upper chamber of the Wisconsin legislature. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks for you so much, Andrea.
It is a pleasure to have you here. And as I stated, you truly are a history maker, and I believe your personal and professional story will inspire everyone watching today. You are a graduate of North Division High School, where you served as student council president. And I don't think that that's going to be a surprise to anyone that you did that. But right after graduation, you went to Marquette and you found yourself a single mother on welfare. With that small roadblock, did that kind of deflate your dreams, or did that in particular give you more motivation to reach your goals?
Well, I can tell you that being a single parent was not an easy road.
Right.
I sort of tease my daughter now about how she grew up almost like a gypsy. I'd put her in the cafeteria and go to class, and whoever was playing cards there, take care of her until I got back. Mm-hmm. But it was a tough road to have done that. But I can tell you that between the spiritual upbringing that I had and the educational opportunity that I had at Marquette, those things changed my life significantly.
Yeah.
It sort of set me on a path of really being a stakeholder in representing people, especially those who are needy, and really realizing that you have to lay tracks, mm-hmm. For other people. When I think of your next guest, for example, Marquette had very few African-American students, but mm-hmm. for folks who were there on basketball scholarships or were middle class. Mm-hmm. And he was one of the students that really protested and really demanded that Marquette look beyond the sports area or those who were middle class, mm-hmm. trust fund kids, and really engage the Milwaukee community and develop a cadre of leadership.
Yeah, and you are speaking of attorney Ulyss Payne Jr.
I am.
And he is going to be on the next segment. I was just the luckiest lady to get you both in the same room at the same time. So needless to say, you did earn a degree in political science from Marquette. When did you decide that you were actually going to run for office and make a change?
Andrea, I never decided to run for office. I didn't major in political science because I intended to be a politician. It was a really good program at Marquette at the time. Enabled me to do research, a lot of writing. I was really interested in journalism. And the department wasn't doing well at that time. So I was advised to study political science and some foreign languages as an alternative. Really, I was dragged kicking and screaming into politics. My mom wanted me to run for office, and I told her I'd never do it. And 18 months after she passed, I had this dream that I was standing at a podium, and Dismas Becker was standing next to me.
Wow.
And about a few months later, Dismas left his assembly seat and asked me to run.
Wow. So that was a vision then.
That was a vision. And I was so mad at my mom because when I finally said, yes, I'd do it, I was saying, leave me alone. I don't want to run.
Now, it's interesting to me because your son, Supreme, was here, and for those who don't know, he is a Milwaukee County Supervisor, and he was here, I guess that was a couple of months ago, and it was interesting to me that he said you were the one that sparked that political fire in him because you had him in his white suit knocking on doors campaigning. So how does that make you feel that you look and see him doing what he's doing today?
You know, I am not surprised at all. I was really surprised earlier on when when he didn't show more fervor for it, but he's always been a community organizer, always been engaged in activities. I have pictures of him as a little boy marching, protesting against drug houses
Oh, wow.
on the block. And he has always been engaged, so I am not surprised
Not surprised at all. So
He's surprised, but I'm not surprised.
now, you've had the opportunity, needless to say, to be in office during President Obama's 2 terms as president, and it's no secret that there are some members of Congress who have fought tooth and nail on some of the issues that he stands for. Being a member of Congress, do you see the climate changing in any kind of way as we go into another election?
You know, history is going to treat President Obama very generously. I mean, he has broken down so many barriers.
Yeah.
I mean, the practically century-long desire to move toward universal health care, the nuclear, the SALT agreements, the nuclear arms agreements with the likes of Russia and China, the work together in containing Iran. This president is really going to be appreciated. We had 800,000 jobs were being lost. When he was raising his right hand and being sworn in at the inaugural ball that day, we lost 800,000
Not
jobs
to mention
that month.
the housing was in true disarray. So a lot has changed in these 8 years.
We almost lost the car industry, and they've had their best sales this year, and history is going to treat him
And
very
gas
well.
was extremely high when he took office as well.
Well, you know, that remains to be seen whether that stays that way.
Okay.
But he's been a fantastic president. We've needed his no drama demeanor during some very, very tough times.
Wow. So with the whole thoughts of the election, we had one of the Republican debates that was held here back in November, last November, and then we have one coming up for the Democrats on February 11th at UW-Milwaukee. Talk about the importance of these type of nationally televised debates being held right here in our city.
Right. Well, I can tell you, perhaps Milwaukee is going to be even more relevant than we thought it would be. As we can see on the Democratic side, there's no slam dunk with Secretary Clinton. She really does have some competition with Senator Sanders, and so I mean, there's a scenario where, you know, Bernie could win, you know, Iowa and New Hampshire or both. It's very competitive in South Carolina, and so even though we have had a late primary, it really might be very significant for them to come here. Same thing on the Republican side. We see the so-called status quo of the Republican Party really desiring to displace both Donald Trump and Ted Cruz. And so this battle may go on.
It's interesting. Wow.
Beyond the first few states. And we might find ourselves in a very decisive position. So it's very good for our economy, for our tourism industry, and I'm happy that we're hosting the Democratic debate here.
Yeah, it's needless to say, it's a huge deal. And you've always been very outspoken about the voter ID law, and citizens will need to show an ID when they go to vote this time around. So are there any things in place, or is there any specific thing you want to say to citizens about getting that ID sooner than later?
It's really extremely important for people to reflect on how hard fought it has been to get the right to vote, for people to reflect on that. So if people really want an organizing principle, something to focus on during Black History Month, to think about the sacrifices that not just Black people have made, but other peoples have made as well.
Absolutely.
To get us to vote. And the effort, and we shouldn't let anybody turn us around. And so there have been provisions. I believe County Supervisor Khalif Rainey, you know, has successfully passed legislation to enable people to get free bus rides, for various kinds of initiatives that are continuing to be underway to make it easier to get identification that people won't have to pay for, birth certificates and so on. So I would urge all of the benevolent organizations like the AKAs and Deltas, certainly all of the missionary societies of our churches, to get engaged. These are not election activities that are partisan. You don't have to urge people to vote for anyone, but it's important to vote.
To make sure everybody has that opportunity to their voice be heard.
Exactly.
I couldn't agree more. And wrapping up, I just want to talk about the fact that here on this show, obviously we discuss the issues, and when it comes to talking about some of the things we're concerned with here in Wisconsin, it's been listed as one of the worst places for an African American to live or raise a child. We've got the extreme high level of poverty. Wisconsin has the most African American men behind bars in America. There's the violence, this war on wages, all of these things. In your opinion, is there a light at the end of the tunnel when we see our city, our state coming off the top of the list with these issues?
Andrea, thank you for asking this question and really raising these concerns. It's one of the reasons that it's important for us to have some nonpartisan consensus on improving the lives of people. We in this state have so much potential with regard to having Milwaukee designated as one of those cities where we pour resources into our community. One of our leaders, Jim Clyburn, African American, that represents South Carolina, has a proposal called the 10-20-30 program, which we've tried to put in front of Congress, and we hope to get it passed. And what it says is that 10% of resources across the federal government, that's in transportation, energy, community development block grant funds, ought to go to those populations, those counties in the United States where 20% of the population has lived in poverty for the last 30 years. And surprisingly, half of those districts are Republican districts.
Wow.
Half of them are Democratic districts. Many of them are very, very low income white groups like in Appalachia, and of course rural areas. And of course, central cities. So this is a way to really target and focus on poverty, and create jobs, and give people opportunities. So this is the approach the Congressional Black Caucus is taking, and it has been piloted in South Carolina, and we've seen some good results.
All right, well, we'll keep our eye on that and hope for the best. Thank you so much for stopping by. It's always a pleasure.
Happy New Year's.
Happy New Year, and continued success in everything you do.
Thank you, Andrea.
Democratic Congresswoman Gwen Moore represents Wisconsin's 4th Congressional District and has made it a mission to give a voice to the voiceless. You can log on to GWENMOORE.HOUSE.GOV to keep up with the issues. And when we return to Our Issues Milwaukee, we'll continue our spotlight on history makers. As we celebrate Black History Month, we'll meet the man who made history when he became the first African American to head up a Major League Baseball franchise. We'll chat with attorney Ulice Payne Jr. right after this.